The lighting in here is not that great today. Alrighty, maybe I can. I don't know, guys. Let me see. Hold on one second. The lighting sucks. Is that better? Okay, yeah, that's better. Okay, so welcome back everybody. It is a really like dreary day today, and I'm still working on like maybe getting some lighting or something. All right, give me one more second. I want to get one more thing. And see if this kind of helps. Okay, yeah, it's a little better. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Everyday Ministry where we are reading books. Um, some of you may have noticed that I had a lot of Christian content, which I will get back to that, but that's not what we're here for. We are here for the color purple. All right, so we are reading Nettie's letters. We have more of Nettie's letters. You all know from the last section, I was just kind of like, but we are going to push our way through. All right, we're picking up on page 172. So I probably need to change that. We're picking up on page 172, another letter from Nettie. Oh, wait. Psych. No, we're not. We are on page 160. I'm sorry. 160. We're going to stop at 171. Dear Celie, Tashi's mother and father were just here. They are upset because she spends so much time with Olivia. She is changing, becoming quiet and too thoughtful, they say. I'm already having a thought about how Celie's father did not want her to learn. Just noticing, I'm trying to find the, the light in the end of the tunnel with these letters because I want to just get back to Celie is like right now. But that right there is like reminding me of the parallel between Celie's father not wanting her to read and to learn. Um, like they said in the last letter, and how Olivia would teach Tashi in secret. And now, you know, Tashi is becoming too thoughtful, they say, which is crazy. She is becoming someone else. Her face is beginning to show the spirit of one of her aunts who was sold to the trader because she no longer fit into village life. This aunt refused to marry the man chosen for her, refused to bow to the chief, did nothing but lay up, crack cola nuts between her teeth, and giggle. Sounds like a happy life to me. They want to know what Olivia and Tashi do in my hut when all the other little girls are busy helping their mothers. Is Tashi lazy at home? I asked. The father looked at the mother. She said no. On the contrary, Tashi works harder than most girls her age and is quicker to finish her work. But it is only because she wishes to spend her afternoons with Olivia. She learns everything I teach her as if she already knows it, said the mother. But this is not but this knowledge does not really enter her soul. The mother seemed puzzled and afraid. The father angry. I thought, aha, Tashi knows she is learning a way of life she will never live. But I did not say this. The world is changing, I said. It is no longer a world just for boys and men. Our women are respected here, said the father. We would never let them trample the world as American women do. There is always someone to look after the Olinka women, a father, an uncle, a brother, a nephew. Do not be offended, Sister Nettie, but our people pity women such as you who are cast out. We know not where, we know not from where, into a world unknown to you, where you must struggle all alone for yourself. Can we pause for a minute? Because that's a fact. We have to acknowledge the fact that a lot of women Um, I want to say a lot, but there are women that grow up in households that do not have fathers and do not have positive male role models. So we do have to acknowledge that what he is saying is true. It's a bit overbearing how they do it in the Olinka tribe from our perspective, because they don't even want the women to think, but he's not wrong. She has had to go live overseas because she couldn't even find comfort or safety in her father's home or her brother-in-law's home. So he's not wrong, but he ain't all the way right either. So I am an object of pity and contempt, I thought, to men and women alike. I think their heart probably aches more for them, for her, because she doesn't have anybody, right? Like, it to them it makes sense because Corrine and Samuel, they're married, they have children. What are you doing? Why are you with these strange people? And that's, I mean, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad from their perspective. I get it, right? Furthermore, said Tashi's father, we are not simpletons. We understand that there are places in the world where women live differently from the way our women do, but we do not approve of this different way for our children. But life is changing, even in Olinka, I said. We are here. He spat on the ground. What are you? Three grown-ups and two children. In the rainy season, some of you will probably die. You people do not last long in our climate. If you do not die, you will be weakened by illness. Oh, yes, we have seen it all before. You Christians come here, try hard to change us, get sick, and go back to England or wherever you come from. Only the trader on the coast remains, and even he is not the same white man year in and year out. We know because we sent him women. Woo, that's deep. All right, I had to sit with that for a minute. Tashi is very intelligent, I said. She could be a teacher, a nurse. She could help people in the village. There is no place here for a woman to do those things, he said. Then we should leave, I said. Sister Corrine and I. Oh, no, no, he said. Teach only the boys? I asked. Yes, he said, as if my question was agreement. I gotta pause again. I'm sorry. There's something to be said about the way that missionaries do come over and try to change how these people live. I think a lot has to be said about that. Although we may not agree this is their way of life, you know? So I don't know. I kind of feel the dad. Let me know what y'all are thinking in the comments. I kind of feel him like, how you feel you gonna come over here and try to make us do what you want to do? You're gonna get sick because you're not used to this lifestyle, and then you're gone. And then here we go again. The cycle continues. I kind of feel him. I kind of feel him. Okay. Do I 100% agree? No, but I kind of feel him. There is a way that the men speak to women that reminds me too much of Pa. They listen just long enough to issue instructions. They don't even look at women when women are speaking. They look at the ground and bend their heads towards the ground. The women also do not look in a man's face, as they say. To look at a man's face is a brazen thing to do. They look instead at his feet or at his knees. And what can I say to this? Again, it is our own behavior around Pa. Next time Tashi appears at your gate, you will send her straight home, her father said. Then he smiled. Your Olivia can visit her and learn what women are for. I smiled also. Olivia must learn to take her education about life where she can find it. I thought. His offer will make a splendid opportunity. Bye. Until the next time, dear Celie, from a pitiful cast out woman who may perish during the rainy season. Your loving sister, Nettie. Dear Celie, at first, there was the faintest sound of movement in the forest, a kind of low humming. Then there was chopping and the sound of dragging. Then a scent, some days, of smoke. But now, after 2 months, during which I or the children or Corrine has been sick, all we hear is chopping and scraping and dragging. And every day we smell smoke. Today, One of the boys in my afternoon class burnt out as he entered. The road approaches. The road approaches. He had been hunting in the forest with his father and seen it. Every day now, the villagers gather at the edge of the village near the cassava fields and watch the building of the road. And watching them, some some on their stools and some squatted down on their haunches, all chewing cola nuts, making patterns in the dirt. I feel a great surge of love for them, for they do not approach the road builders empty handedly. Oh no, each day since the road's approach, they have been stuffing the road builders with goat meat, millet mush, baked yam, cassava, cola nuts, and palm wine. Each day is like a picnic, and I believe many friendships have been made, although the road builders are from from a different tribe some distance to the north and nearer the coast, and their language is somewhat different. I don't understand it anyway, though the people of Olinka seem to, but they are clever people about most things and understand new things very quickly. It is hard to believe that we've been here 5 years. Time moves slowly but passes quickly. Adam and Olivia are nearly as tall as me and doing very well in their studies. Adam has a special aptitude for figures, and it worries Samuel that soon he will have nothing more to teach them in his field, having exhausted his own knowledge. When we were in England, we met missionaries who sent their children back home when it is no longer possible to teach them in the bush. But it is hard to imagine life here without the children. They love the open feeling of the village and love living in huts. They are excited by the hunting expertise of the men and the self sufficiency of the women in raising their crops. No matter how down I may be, and sometimes I get very down indeed, a hug from Olivia or Adam completely restores me to the level of functioning, if nothing else. Their mother and I are not as close as we once were, but I feel more like their aunt than ever, and the three of us look more and more alike every day. About a month ago, Corrine asked me not to invite Samuel to my hunt unless she was present. She said it gave the villagers the wrong idea. This was a real low blow to me because I treasure his company. Since Corrine almost never visits me herself, I will have hardly anybody to talk to, just in friendship. But the children will but the children still come and sometimes spend the night with their parent when their parents want to be alone. I love those times. We roast ground nuts on my stove, sit on the floor, and study maps of all the countries in the world. Sometimes Tashi comes over and tells stories that are popular among the Olinka children. I am encouraging her and Olivia to write them down in Olinka and English. It will be good practice for them. Olivia feels that, compared to Tashi, she has no good stories to tell. One day she started in on an Uncle Remus tale, only to discover Tashi had the original version of it. Her little face just fell. But then we got into a discussion of how Tashi's people's stories got to America, which fascinated Tashi. She cried when Olivia told her how her grandmother had been treated as a slave. No one else in this village wants to hear about slavery, however. Excuse me. They acknowledge no responsibility whatsoever. This is one thing about them that I definitely do not like. We lost Tashi's father during we lost Tashi's father during the last rainy season. I am not supposed to that is not supposed to be funny, but for all that mouth he had for Nettie talking about the next rainy season she wasn't gonna survive, and then for him to die, watch your mouth. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. It's in the word, it's factual. Even if some of you are here, you don't believe in the Bible, you know that your universe, whatever, they say the same thing. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Watch what you say. Watch what you're saying about people. Okay. No one else in this village wants to hear about slavery. Okay, I'm sorry about that. We lost Tashi's father during the last rainy season. He fell ill with malaria, and nothing the healer concocted saved him. He refused to take the medicine we use for it or to let Samuel visit him at all. It was my first Olinka funeral. The women paint their faces white and wear white shroud like garments and cry in a high, keening voice. They wrapped the body in bark cloth and buried it under a big tree in the forest. Tashi was heartbroken. All her young life, she has tried to please her father, never quite realizing that as a girl, she never could. But the death brought her and her mother closer together, and now Catherine feels like one of us. By one of us, I mean me and the children, and sometimes Samuel. She is still in mourning and sticking close to her hut, but she says she will not marry again. Since she already has five boy children, she can now do whatever she wants. She has become an honorary man. When I went to visit her, she made it very clear that Tashi must continue to learn. She is the most industrious of all of Tashi's father's widows, and her fields are praised for their cleanliness, productivity, and general attractiveness. Perhaps I can help her with her work. It is in work that the women get to know and care about each other. It was it was through work that Catherine became friends with her husband's other wives. This friendship among women is something Samuel often talks about because women share a husband, but the husband does not share their friendships. It makes Samuel uneasy. It is confusing, I suppose, and it is Samuel's duty as a Christian minister to preach the Bible's directive of one husband and one wife. Samuel is confused because to him, since the women are friends and will do anything for one another, not always, but more often than anyone from America would expect, and since they giggle and gossip and nurse each other's children, then they must be happy with the way things are. But many of the women rarely spend time with their husbands. Some of them are promised to old or middle aged men at birth. Their lives always center around work and their children and other women. Since a woman cannot really have a man for a friend without the worst kind of ostracism and gossip, they indulge their husbands, if anything. You should just see how they make admiration over them, praise their smallest accomplishments, stuff them with palm wine and sweets. No wonder the men are often childish, and a grown child is a dangerous thing, especially since among the Olinka, the husband has life and death power over the wife. If he accuses one of his wives of witchcraft or infidelity, she can be killed. Thank God. And sometimes Samuel's intervention, this has not happened since we've been here. But the story Tashi tells are often about such gruesome events that happened in the recent past. And God forbid that the child of a favorite wife should fall ill. That is the point at which even the women's friendships break down, as each woman fears the accusation of sorcery from the other or from the husband. Merry Christmas to you and yours, dear Celie. We celebrated here on the dark continent with prayer and song and a large picnic complete with watermelon, fresh fruit punch, and barbecue. God bless you. Nettie. Dear Celie, I meant to write you in time for Easter, but it was not a good time for me and I didn't want to burden you with any distressing news. So a whole year has gone by. The first thing I should tell you about is the road. The road finally reached the cassava fields about 9 months ago, and the Olinka, who love nothing better than a celebration, outdid themselves preparing a feast for the road builders who talked and laughed and cut their eyes at the Olinka women the whole day. In the evening, many were invited into the village itself, and there was merrymaking far into the night. I think Africans are very much like white people back home, and that they think they are the center of the universe and that everything that is done for them. The Olinka definitely hold this view, and so they naturally thought the road was being built for them. And in fact, the road builders talked much of how quickly the Olinka will be able to get to the coast. With the tarmac road, it is only a 3 day journey. By bicycle, it will be even less. Of course, no one in Olinka owns a bike, but one of the road builders has one, and all the Olinka men covet it and talk of someday purchasing their own. Well, the morning after the road was finished, as far as the Olinka were concerned, finished, wow. After all, it had reached their village, what should we discover but that the road builders were back at work? They have instructions to continue the road for another 30 miles and to continue it on its present course right through the village of Olinka. By the time we were out of bed, the road was already being dug through Catherine's newly planted yam field. Of course, the Olinka were up in arms, but the road builders were literally up in arms. They had guns, Seeley, with orders to shoot. It was pitiful, Seeley. The people felt so betrayed. They stood by helplessly. They really don't know how to fight and rarely think of it since the old days of tribal wars as their crops and then their very homes were destroyed. Yes, the road builders didn't deviate an inch from the plan the headman was following. They're real trifling. They sat up there, ate them people's food, had a celebration, told them they could use the road, knowing good and god daggone on well that they was about to take down their whole village. Man, and the road builders look like them. I have to say this, but sometimes we have to acknowledge that some of our worst enemies look just like we do. A lot of our pain and our suffering come from people that look like we do. We have to acknowledge that. And I'm sorry, there's anyone that is of a different race that is watching. I am talking about Black people, but don't run away. It's for you to come stay. But I just had to say that it was on my heart. I have to say that we can't always villainize one race without acknowledging the hurt and the harm and the pain that we have caused ourselves as well. We have to acknowledge the trauma that we have put ourselves through. We have to. It's disingenuous to say that we are not messed up as well. It really is. Okay? Back to the story. The road builders didn't deviate an inch from the plan the headman was following. Every hut that lay in the proposed road path was leveled. And Sealy, our church, our school, my hut, all went down in a matter of hours. Fortunately, we were able to save all of our things, but with the tarmac road running itself straight through the village itself seems gutted. Immediately after understanding the road builder's intentions, the chief set off toward the coast, seeking explanation and reparations. 2 weeks later, he returned with even more disturbing news. The whole territory, including the Olinka's village, now belongs to a rubber manufacturer in England. As he neared the coast, he was stunned to see hundreds and hundreds of villagers, much like the Olinka, clearing the forest on each side of the road and planting rubber trees. The ancient giant mahogany trees, all the trees, the game, everything of the forest was being destroyed. And the land was forced to lie flat, he said, and bare as the palm of his hand. Man, at first, he thought the people who told him about the English Rubber Company were mistaken, if only about its territory, including the Olinka village. But eventually, he was directed to the governor's mansion, a huge white building with flags flying in its yard, and there had been an audience with a white man in charge. It was this man who gave the road builders their orders, the man who knew about the Olinka only from a map. He spoke in English, which our chief tried to speak also. It must have been a pathetic exchange. Our chief never learned English beyond an occasional odd phrase he picked up from Joseph, who pronounces English Yanglush. But the worst was yet to be told. Since the Olinka no longer owned their village, they must pay rent for it. And in order to use the water, which also no longer belongs to them, they must pay a water tax. Woo! At first, the people laughed. It really did seem crazy. They've been here forever. But the chief did not laugh. We will fight the white man, he said. But the white man is not alone, said the chief. He has brought an army. That was several months ago, and so far nothing has changed or has happened. The people live like ostriches, never setting foot on the new road if they can help it, and never ever looking towards the coast. We have built another church and school, have another hut, and so we wait. Meanwhile, Corrine has fell very ill with African fever. Many missionaries in the past have died from it, but the children are fine. The boys now accept Olivia and Tashi in class, and more mothers are sending their daughters to school. The men don't like it. Who wants a wife who knows everything her husband knows, they fume. But the women have their ways, and they love their children, even their girls. I will write more things. I will write more when things are looking up. And I trust God that they will. Your sister, Nettie. Wow. So they have torn down the Olinka village. We got to get a glimpse into how there is um, inter inner turmoil between races, between tribes, which is also very interesting. Um, And I love that Nettie said that African people act like white people back home and they think that everything is for them. But I feel like because Africa is predominantly black, there would have to be some divisiveness in some sort of way because that's just how people are. It's a weird like case study to kind of understand the psychology of people. But so yeah, we are gonna end the stream. Thank you all for joining. We will be back or I will be back for another part very soon, possibly tomorrow. Take care.